I was just down at Pensacola Beach, Gulf Pier, at the Fish Sandwich Snack Bar. I don't know if any of you have ever checked it out. It's a nice spot. And we were there with some of Florida's state and local leaders to discuss the situation here. And I want to acknowledge the hard work that's being done by the governor of Florida, Charlie Crist, Florida's chief financial officer, Alex Sink, Senators Bill Nelson, George Lemieux, representatives who are here today. We got Jeff Miller and Corrine Brown and Ted Dutch. Please give them a big round of applause. We've got Escambia County Commissioner Grover Robinson and Pensacola Mayor Mike Wiggins. Thank you very much for your outstanding efforts. I know all of you join me in thanking these leaders and their communities, because they're your neighbors, for the incredible support that they give all the men and women and your families here in Pensacola. So we're grateful to you. But this is my fourth visit to the Gulf Coast since the start of this spill. Yesterday I was over in Gulfport, Mississippi, Theodore, Alabama, and now Pensacola, assessing the situation, reviewing the response, seeing what needs to be done better and faster, and talking with folks, whether fishermen or small business people and their families, who are seeing their lives turned upside down by this disaster. Here in Pensacola, the beautiful beaches are still open. The sand is white, the water's blue. So folks who are looking for a good vacation, they can still come down to Pensacola. People need to know that Pensacola is still open for business. But that doesn't mean that people aren't angry. That doesn't mean that people aren't scared. That doesn't mean that people have concerns about the future. We all have those concerns. And people have every right to be angry. Those plumes of oil are off the coast. The fishing waters are closed. Tar balls have been coming ashore. And everybody's bracing for more. So I'll say today what I've been saying up and down the coast over the last couple of days and over the last month. Yes, this is an unprecedented environmental disaster. It's the worst in our nation's history. But we're going to continue to meet it with an unprecedented federal response and recovery effort, the largest in our nation's history. This is an assault on our shores, and we're going to fight back with everything that we've got. And that includes mobilizing the resources of the greatest military in the world. Now Here at Naval Air Station Pensacola, you've been one of the major staging areas. You've helped to support the response effort. And I thank you for that. And I know the people of Pensacola thank you for that. And all along the Gulf Coast, our men and women in uniform, active, Guard, and Reserve from across the country are stepping up and helping out. There's soldiers on the beaches putting out sandbags and building barriers and cleaning up the oil, and helping people process their claims for compensation from BP. There's sailors and Marines offering their ships and their skimmers and their helicopters and miles of boom. There are airmen overhead flying in equipment and spraying dispersant. And of course, there are Coast Guard's men and women on the cutters, in the air, working around the clock. And when I say this is the largest response of its kind in American history, I mean it. We've got more than 5,000 vessels on site, skimmers, tugs, barges, dozens of aircraft. More than 27,000 personnel are on the scene, fighting this every day, putting out millions of feet of boom and cleaning the shores. All told, we've authorized the deployment of 17,500 National Guardsmen to respond to this crisis. And so far, only about 1,600 have been activated, and that leaves a lot of Guardsmen ready to help. And if our governors call on them, I know they'll be ready, because they're always ready. So I want the people of this region to know that my administration is going to do whatever it takes, for as long as it takes, to deal with this disaster. That includes the additional actions I announced yesterday to make sure that seafood from the Gulf is safe to eat. It includes steps we've taken to protect the safety of workers involved in the cleanup. It includes a new command structure I announced this morning to make sure states and local communities like Pensacola have the autonomy and the resources that they need to go forward. And that includes something else, making sure BP pays for the damages that it has caused. Because this isn't just an environmental disaster. For many families and communities, it's an economic disaster. Here in Pensacola and the Panhandle, tourism is everything. And when the tourists stay home, it ripples out and hits folks across these communities. The charter boats, the hotels, the restaurants, the roadside stores, the shops, the suppliers, the dive shops. And if your inland waters are contaminated, if the bays and bayous are contaminated, it could be devastating, changing the way of life down here for years to come. Now, I'm going to speak to the nation tonight about this, but let me say to the people of Pensacola and the Gulf Coast, I am with you. My administration is with you for the long haul, to make sure BP pays for the damage that it has done and to make sure that you are getting the help you need to protect this beautiful coast and to rehabilitate the damaged areas, to revitalize this region, and to make sure that nothing like this ever happens again. That is a commitment I am making to the people of Florida and people all across this Gulf. Now, that spirit of resolve and determination and resilience, that's the same spirit we see in all of you, the men and women in uniform. The spirit will need to meet other challenges of our time. Obviously, the news has been dominated lately by the oil spill, but our nation is at war, and all of you have stepped forward. You volunteered, you took an oath, you stood tall and you said, I will serve. And here at Pensacola, you're carrying on the proud tradition of naval aviation that spans a century. Here at the Barrancas National Cemetery, our heroes from yesterday's wars are still inspiring us. And like generations before you, you're no strangers to sacrifice. Our prayers are with the families and friends of the crew that you lost in that training exercise 2 months ago. Today, we send out our thoughts and prayers to all the folks from Pensacola on the front lines at this very moment, including Iraq and Afghanistan. They are making us incredibly proud, and so are you. As naval aviators and naval flight officers, you'll soon earn your wings of gold. Many of you will prove yourselves as indispensable air crews. The mechanics, the engineers, the electricians, the maintenance crews, people's lives depending on what you do each and every day. I know you're looking ahead to your first operational tours, to join the fleet and your squadrons. And within weeks, some of you may find yourselves serving on a carrier deck in the Arabian Sea or working a busy flight line in Afghanistan. And as you begin your careers, as you look ahead to a life of service, I want you to know on behalf of the American people that your nation thanks you, your nation appreciates you, your nation will stand with you every step of the way. And as your Commander-in-Chief, I want you to know something. I will not hesitate to use force to protect the American people or our vital interests. But I will also never risk your lives unless it's absolutely necessary. And if it is necessary, we are going to back you up to the hilt with the strategy and the clear mission and the equipment and the support that you need to get the job done right. That's my promise to every one of you, every man and woman who wears America's uniform.